Alright guys, so we're going to look at the transform property now, and this is a page from the MDN website, the Mozilla Docs, and it gives you a pretty good example of some of the effects that you can do with the transform. So for instance, we can rotate. Actually, I got to click off it first. This is skew, so you can kind of skew it. You can rotate, you can scale, so make it bigger. You can translate, which is basically move it around. Matrix. So we're going to look at some of these properties, and we're also going to kind of integrate it with transitions. So let's create a new file called 10 underscore transform.html. Say transform, and let's put in our style. And again, I'm just going to have a class of box. So we're just working with this box here, and I'm just going to copy from the transitions. I'm going to copy the whole body because I just want a box in the middle. Actually, I'll just grab both of these. You can grab the hover as well, and I'll just delete some stuff. So let's paste that in, and I'm going to keep for the box the background, the width, and the height, and I'll get rid of all the hover for now. And I'm actually going to set it to 300 pixels. Alright, so let's save that, and let's open this with Live Server. We have a 300 pixel wide, 300 pixel height box in the middle of the screen, and let's apply a transform. So we'll go to the box here, and let's say transform, and then we're going to have an effect. Let's use rotate. Okay, so we'll say rotate, and that's going to take in whatever the amount you want to rotate. Let's say 25 DEG, so 25 degrees, and we'll save, and that's going to rotate it. Now, of course, you could use rotate with animation, with keyframes, transitions, but if you just wanted to have something tilted a little bit, you could just use it directly like this. All right, so next we're going to look at let's comment this out. Next we're going to look at skew, which will just kind of skew it diagonally. Diagonally, is that a word? Diagonal. And let's try that. Okay, so you can see what skew does. And this is nice if you want to have diagonal lines, like in your layout. If you want to have maybe, you know, a little showcase area where you have something on this side, something on this side, and you want a diagonal line in the middle instead of just having it half and half like that. So that is skew. Let's see, let's copy this down and comment this out, and let's look at scale. So scale, let's just put in 2, and that's just going to scale it up. So essentially we're doubling it in size. We could put 3 and it'll scale even more. Alright, so let's comment that out. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to use transform with transitions. So I'm going to add a transition for all elements that are animatable, and let's do 1 second ease in out. Okay, and then let's just save that. That's going to go back down, and in our hover, let's do the rotate. So we'll do rotate. Instead of 25 though, let's do 180. So now when I hover over it, it rotates. When I hover off, it goes back. So pretty cool. We can also skew it. Let's grab that. So now when I hover over it, it skews. And this is gonna basically you know, overwrite the rotate. And then we can also do scale. So if I save that and I hover over it, it'll scale up. Now we can also move this around the page without having to do like a position relative and then doing top, bottom, left, right properties. And we can do that by using translate. Okay, so we have translate X, translate Y, so we can move it along the X axis and the Y axis. So let's actually comment this stuff out, and let's do a transform transform, and then we're going to set it to translate. Let's do translate Y, and let's say 100 pixels. Alright, so let's save that. Now when I hover over this, it's going to move it down 100 pixels. So I didn't have to do like a position relative or a top, top one, whatever property. It just simply moves 100 pixels. And now if I want to move it up on the y-axis, I can simply put a negative value. So negative 100 is going to move it up. And if I want to do on the x-axis, I can do translate x. Let's do 100 pixels, and that's going to go over. Okay, and if I want to go the other way, I could of course do a negative value there. Now let's say I want to move it on the x and y axis. I can just use translate. So I can say transform, translate, and this is going to take in the x and the y parameters. So let's say 100 pixels on the x-axis, 100 pixels on the y-axis, and now when I hover over it, it will go 100 over and 100 down. And of course I could use negative values if I wanted to. Now if you want to increase performance, you can actually use translate 3D, which I don't use all that much, but we can do translate 3D. And let's actually comment this stuff out. So if we use translate 3D, this actually has to have a Z value as well. So 100 pixels. And that's going to do the same thing. Okay. And I believe it increases performance if you use translate 3D. And you can do some really cool things. I'm not that familiar with it. I usually use translate, but it is available to us. Alright, so that's the transform property. We'll be using this later on in other projects, but that's going to be it for this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.